My topics are twofold, and I'm only going to spend a little bit of time on the bottom part of this slide. We have talked about antibiotic-free research for the last 3 years here. Craig Good and I visit once in a while about it. It's just really hard to implement on a large-scale production. Dean Boyd's estimated, I was on a conference with him, he's estimated about 16% of the pigs in the U.S. go through an antibiotic-free production system at the current time. And we will continue to do the work on that area. Jake Rickert is helping us out. We're working as well with that other university that you mentioned and look forward to presenting that at a later date. The research that I'm going to share quickly in the time I have available is our vitamin D research. And where that came about was a group of us, Dr. John Gonzalez, Dr. Dwayne Davis, and our students sat down and reviewed the literature, as we always do. Dwayne was great at teaching us that, and found that vitamin D can have an effect on our fetal programming research or changing muscle fiber counts. And that's in the literature, and we wanted to look at that in our herd. Many veterinarians had told us in the past that they were dosing pigs with vitamin D in the farrowing house to overcome failure to thrive syndrome. That was not part of our research, but it's all coupled into this project in terms of what effects it may have. As a side note to our antibiotic research, I hadn't subscribed to Consumer Report for about 5 or 6 years, and in October I resubscribed to that magazine, and it used to rank like the used vehicles for the students because you guys are all broke, and so you always need to figure out which vehicle you should buy, what's got the best rating, and those kind of things. What electronic devices, what best computer, what's the best cell phone, you guys all know what I'm talking about. Well, on the cover, my first issue that I received was something that actually kind of made me mad when I went to the mailbox, picked it up, and rather than telling what was the best computer to buy, Evan, it had what's really in your red meat, and down below here it says drugs that have been banned. And I thought we were going to get off the hook, Callahan, because this animal had horns on it, so I thought, well, the swine industry is going to be off scot-free here. And what Consumer Report did was ask for the FSIS public information through Freedom of Information Act for what is in our meat, okay? So again, public institutions have to release the data, and this is the results they found in beef. And antibiotics were one. I never thought about antidepressants, especially even antifungals or anti-inflammatories you could anticipate could be used in production. And the centerfold, that line down the middle is actually a 2-pager. It's not a crease in the page, it's a 2-pager. And they went right after the beef industry from the very first one. And that's an antibiotic, and that's, you can see chloramphenicol, ketamines, and then nitros that they found in beef. And so again, we talk about foreign animal diseases and the challenges that we're going to have and what could be and what may be and what probably will be. Well, this is right now, okay? This is current information. And I thought the pork industry was going to get off scot-free till I flipped the next page. And we had our share of challenges, and I don't have the slide of it, but chicken was in as well. The bottom line is not once in there did they talk, Evan, about the millions and millions of pounds of meat that's produced each year that's absolutely free of any residue. What they emphasize is the products that did have residues or the amount of residues that was contained. And so I think our antibiotic research has relevance. I think more importantly, as a whole, the industry as a whole, we got to continue to work on stewardship and figuring out how to reduce some of the challenges we have. In the last few minutes I have available, I want to hit on one project. As I mentioned earlier, our graduate student now at Purdue, at that other school, I guess I should say, Morgan Thayer did a comprehensive study of looking at vitamin D3 and its effects on piglets. And what we did with that is we fed it all the way through gestation, lactation, wean, nurseries, grow, finish, all the way through, okay? And I should point out, you know, we looked at combinations of products. They're traditional. I think Woody had the vitamin slide this morning, or somebody did, saying how we dropped our vitamin levels because there was a shortage. Well, D3 was the one that you had suggested. High D is a prohormone, a precursor to the active form of vitamin D in the body, and we thought if we combine those two with skipping a metabolic step, that we should be able to be more efficient in terms of effects on the animal. Okay, this is the worst slide in the world right after a food coma, right? Several years ago, a couple of veterinarians used a flashlight and a globe to show how vitamin D is synthesized in the body. I put on this slide the sun, which they use the flashlight to indicate, and the metabolic process by which vitamin D can be utilized in the animal to change muscle fibers. And I'll enlarge that to show you, just to mention that High D, or the product that we tested with DSM, and very proud of their sponsorship of our research, actually is a more efficient process as a pre-hormone to get to the active hormone 1-alpha-25-hydroxy. And the reason we wanted to look at this is we knew that vitamin D has all the non-genomic effects, but as Doug does his research, how about the genomic effects? How about gene expression? How about changing, in our case, we wanted to change muscle fiber numbers or regulate gene expression. These are the metabolites we tested. As I mentioned, I'll go through this quickly. Vitamin D3 is what you feed in your diets. We wanted to try the combination of 25-hydroxy or High D in sow diets. We also then looked at the active form of the hormone, as well as a metabolite or a catabolite that affects bones. And again, as we move sows from crates to pens, bone integrity is huge, okay? If you look at the reports out of the pork board, downer sows, broken legs are a huge issue in terms of culling or removal rates from the herd. I have to mention the NRC. We feed much higher levels than NRC, but these are the recommendations these are the minimal levels for optimum performance under ideal conditions, and none of us have that. Not even the university has ideal, so we feed much higher levels than that. In our experiment, we referenced Josh Floor. Josh was here earlier. Josh, you still here? Yep, clear in the back. We used your survey. 18 producers representing about 40% of the sows in the U.S., and this is the survey information of what Josh published in 2016 to say this is the levels that the industry is currently feeding. So we build off of this. John Bergstrom helped us build off of this our control levels of vitamins throughout the life cycle of the pig, okay? And we also, as I mentioned earlier, the genomic effect is we thought we could stimulate gene expression, get more muscle fibers, you get more primary muscles. It's like this building. You get more structure, you get more trusses with the primary muscles, and then you can come in and build secondary muscle, which is the infrastructure of the walls within this building. Okay, and again, we wanted to look at the combination. So we only had 3 treatments. We only had 69 sows at the herd. Our low level, our control level was D3 alone. We had a low level combination that mimicked the control in terms of total levels throughout the production system. And then we wanted to go to a higher level. And I was sent by Jerome this morning. He goes, have you seen all this human work now with higher levels of vitamin D? And I said, we actually did that in the sows. Not trying to compare humans to pigs, but that's what we did in this experiment. Small number of animals, no difference in performance. Excellent performance in this herd, in our herd, 17 born alive, and survivability is 93 to 95%. We also then, as I mentioned, wanted to look at the infrastructure, the muscle fibers. We sacrifice pigs at birth, and is Dr. Gonzalez here? I know he's out in the hall. Way back there in the corner. I can't see you guys back. I don't have my glasses on. John's back in the corner. He actually measured the primary muscle fibers in yellow. The infrastructure, the red outlines are the secondary or type 2 muscle fibers. The blue are the nuclei, and he measured those both at birth for us as well as weaning. And again, you can see the structure of the primary muscle be more defined, the secondaries as well, and then satellite cells. And as we completed this research, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, Dr. Dwayne Davis, myself, and John gave this presentation to the audience, and we said, our fetal programming work continues, and we've got to keep, the young great scientist, John Gonzalez. Matter of fact, I said that, Evan. I was the one that mentioned that to the group. Well, I'm sad to mention that great young scientist is going to become a bulldog. He's coming to Georgia. When do you start, John? Back next April. So again, we need your support, we need your help to keep the young talent, to have a balance of research between very applied, which was on the slide, and some of the basic components that we're showing you here. What did John show us, or what did we learn from John and Morgan's research? Well, we actually found that the highest level of vitamin D, and again, John Bergstrom thought this would happen, actually stimulated or increased number of primary muscle fibers. That would be the I-beams, that would be the trusses within the building. The secondary muscle fibers were not different, okay? We see no change, and so we thought we could build more total muscle mass. What does that mean to the producers in the room? Well, first of all, if you build more muscle, you drive feed efficiency down, okay? And so Woody was showing, you know, you can, these heavyweight hogs, you can bring it down. Well, you can go next generation if you can even stimulate more muscle fiber formation. We also looked, and I'll go through these quickly, we looked at serum levels. This gets into actually dosing the pigs. You know, producers that dose try to increase serum concentration. We had some bounce in the controls in blue versus the red. But again, you can feed, if you feed sows more D3 or high D in combination, you increase fetal concentrations both at birth and at weaning. Okay, we follow these pigs, as I said, all the way to market. You can increase it and grow finish as well, and you can change it in colostrum and milk. Okay, and that milk was on day 21 of lactation. So my summary, as I'm out of time here, my summary is there was no effect on performance. We really, John, didn't think that we would with only 23 sows per treatment, but the neat part about it is we did stimulate muscle fiber number. And again, we think this was John's conclusion, or Dr. Gonzalez's conclusion, that we had a longer prenatal period, which would stimulate the possibility for more muscle formation. Also, we increased milk and colostrum concentrations of vitamin D by using these two products in combination. Okay, and so in conclusion, the combination improved vitamin D status, both of the dams and the offspring. We increased primary muscle fibers, which we think could enhance carcass value or feed efficiency in that case. In our experiment, though, with limited numbers, we didn't see differences. Our implications is this, I'll get that word out, is feeding combinations of D3 and 25-hydroxy or high D may eliminate the practical need for orally dosing or picking all those pigs up and dosing them with these oral products, okay? And so with that, I thought I'd show you a pig that actually had a very high level of vitamin D. This particular animal had to have sunglasses. He was in his optimum environment, and so those pigs that get plenty of vitamin D actually turn out to be excellent in terms of performance. Thank you very much. I'll turn it back over to Joel.